Hi class, I hope all is well. It was good being together on Friday. This is meant to be a relatively short segment. I'll keep it to under 10 minutes, which will provide you with some information that you'll find helpful and important in preparing for Friday's class, and also in knowing what to do in terms of your own practice this week, since in class it was left a little bit, I think, open-ended. I was going to give you all a guided practice card form to do, but I've modified that so that in the spirit of solitude and practicing solitude this week in relationship to mindfulness, you have a little bit more, we could say freedom to experience it without having to keep track of it. Although one time this week, I will ask that you text me your observations from one of your periods of mindful solitude practice. All right, so now let me get to the key points that I want to share with you all. First of all, just a reminder, the landscape of the mind, we looked at it in class. We had a nice conversation around it. If you put it away and you've not thought about it, you might want to take it out, put it up somewhere, keep it nearby, so that if you find yourself at times during the week feeling agitated, overwhelmed, anxious, whatever the case may be, you turn to this and you identify where you are in the landscape of the mind. And then check in and see how just that awareness that you bring to naming your experience can begin to shift your relationship to the experience. All right. Additionally, the creative aspect of this week's drawing here will be expanding upon the SOBI mindful methodology of mindful movement that we have been exploring. First week, you drew the tree. Second week, you drew a tree with a sense of the wind. We went outside on Friday and had a nice time doing almost the full SOBI mindful movement practice. And you saw that the first three elements are the tree, the wind, and then the clouds. So for one of your practices this week, please sit outside, or if you prefer, position yourself so that you can see outside. Set the timer for at least 10 minutes, but you might want to make it 15 minutes. Have your crayons or writing utensils handy, and then draw a tree, the wind, and the clouds. And then include yourself in the drawing. This body, this tree, this breath, the wind, and these thoughts and feelings, clouds. And do that however you creatively would choose to do so. Now, importantly, this is a period of practice. Now, you might, upon reflection on this week's readings, realize that, this isn't just a focused attention practice or a mindfulness practice that involves, drawing and the creative expression. This is actually a period of solitude. And of course, to get that requires having reflecting on the definition of solitude that was addressed in the readings, one that's not dependent on whether you are in or out of physical proximity to other people. As we discussed, it's not about being isolated or alone. And so you're setting that timer for 10 plus minutes because it is a period of practice. Now, you might think at times that once you finish drawing what your task is to draw, the period of practice is over. And to the contrary, if you should finish and decide that you're done, and I would encourage you to keep the crayon or crayons close by, and just because you have a momentary, felt sense that I'm done with this, maybe there's more to follow. You just may not realize it yet. And if you're looking to finish the practice early, you might hasten and miss out on certain opportunities. So the practice is for 10 or 15 minutes, whether you draw for 1 minute or whether you draw for 10 or 15 minutes. So please remember that, as I suspect some of you perhaps at times have felt like, okay, I finished the drawing, I'm done. And there's more to it than that. And lastly, I will be sending you all a revised first reading on solitude and self-care. If you have already read it and you have already turned in your assignment, that's fine. You need not reread it for purposes of the assignment. Much of it is the same. There's a bit that's been added. So I will identify for you in the email that I send or Samantha sends with this file what has been added, so that for purposes of class and also for purposes of your daily practice, you can have the benefit of what's found in that reading. If you haven't yet read the chapter and you haven't yet done the assignment, then use this reading to do so, because it's everything that the previous one was and more. Now, because it's Monday and because you may or may not get to the reading right away, I wanted to let you know what to have in mind for your daily periods of solitude practice, or what you might call constructive solitude or mindful solitude practice. And as is laid out in the reading, it can come down to, for this week, as we explore this, what's known as a sandwich practice. What's a sandwich practice? A sandwich practice is a practice that is broken into 3 parts, sort of 2 smaller portions at the beginning and ending, and then a larger portion in the middle. This creates an opportunity for you to explore solitude, and we'll talk more about that in class, so I won't get into that now, and mindfulness, and it also allows you to construct a duration of practice that you might find allows you to sit for longer. If you're looking to sit for a longer period of time, 10 to 15 minutes would be the ballpark that we're interested in, but it could be 20 minutes. It could be as long as you would like in that general frame. By having it bookended with a period of more what we could call traditional solitude, so that you might have, for example, 5 minutes of solitude to begin with, 10-minute focused attention practice, and close with another 5 minutes of solitude. That could be a 20-minute practice. Or it could be 2 minutes and 15 minutes and 2 minutes, and that's a 19-minute practice. You get the idea. Now, importantly, the middle portion will be a focused attention or a body scan practice, one of the primary practices that we have begun to explore. But on the sides, that's a period of solitude that you can draw upon for yourself. Of course, knowing the definition of solitude, our formulation of solitude, as is expressed in the readings, will allow you to figure out the parameters and the creative ways that you can do this. As long as it falls under the definition of solitude, you can construct it however you'd like. Examples might be, you could begin by journaling. You could end with some music. You could begin by doing box breathing. You could end with, journaling about your day. You could begin reflecting on your to-do list. You could end with a period of gratitude. So I'll leave it to you, and we'll talk about it when we're together. Remember, once this week, text me with what your observations were of your experience, letting me know a little bit about what you did. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday.